This is the Sony RX100 Mark II and it was released in 2013, making this camera 12 years old. But how good is this pocket camera in 2025? Well, actually it is still very good and you can take some really nice photos with this camera. And that is because this camera has a 1-inch sensor inside. So that is a lot larger compared to normal smartphone cameras back then, but right now smartphone sensors are getting bigger. But it's still a bit bigger compared to modern smartphones. And as you can see, also because it has a lot of depth with the lens, it means that there is actually a good lens inside because it has a f1.8 aperture. So you can get a nice background blur. And when we take a look at the photos that the RX100 Mark II captures, they still look really nice even in 2025. And they don't have that HDR and over-sharpened look that your phone has. But keep in mind, because of that, the dynamic range of this camera also isn't the best. This camera actually has the option to shoot in RAW, which means you can adjust the photos a lot later in post. So if you would like to edit your photos, then that is a nice option to have. And it also has a multi-interface shoe here on the top, so you can connect different microphones. And what the version 2 also has that the version 1 didn't have is this flip screen. It sadly can't flip for a selfie screen, so it's not meant for vlogging, but it is really nice that it has an adjustable angle compared to the fixed screen of the Mark I. What the Mark I did have that this one also has is a flash, so that's really cool to have. Nice if you want to do some flash photography. And it also has the same lens. So it is an f1.8 lens, but sadly when you zoom in, the aperture becomes a lot worse. So fully zoomed in, it's f4.9. And that's definitely why you might want to pick up the Mark III instead of the Mark II, is because the version 3 actually has an f1.8 to 2.8 lens, which means you can get more background blur. It also has a built-in ND filter and an electronic viewfinder, whereas this one only has a flash on the top. It also has video recording options. You can shoot in MP4 or AVC HD. Sadly, the 1080p video out of this camera is just not that great anymore. It's just that the detail amount that it captures in Full HD is very low. What I do like about this camera also is that it has this ring here on the front. So if you like to change settings, for example, change your white balance or use it for zoom or focus, you can change that here. And that is a really nice addition. And what's so nice about the RX100 series is the nice dials here. You have on the back a nice dial to control it, and here on the top you can also switch between different modes. So should you buy the RX100 Mark II in 2025? Well, if you want a camera that can fit in your pocket and still take good photos and you don't mind the worse aperture when zooming in, then this can definitely still be a fun option to get. But keep in mind that if you don't mind carrying a camera around that is a little bit bigger, then you might want to look into the Sony A5000 series. Or maybe the Sony NEX5 series, because those cameras are about the same price if not cheaper and they have a larger sensor. If you really need something that is pocketable, then this can still be a good option for photography, because it doesn't have the smartphone look, but you do need to have a purpose for it. So if you like to change settings and have the feel of using an actual camera. But if you just like to point and shoot quickly, then you might as well just use your smartphone, obviously. And the video aspect of this camera is outdated. But what do you think of this old Sony RX100 Mark II? Let me know in the comments down below, and thank you so much for watching.